This is my drill down into the MAGA Department of Justice's bizarre Fulton County search and seizure warrant and how it crashed through prosecution guardrails. I'll share some of the various violations, what the norms are that were violated, and why they matter, or at least would matter, in a real prosecution. All this bad practice raises the question, why? But let's look first at the bad practice. The warrant for the search in Georgia originated in Missouri. Normally, in an investigation across districts, you go to the local U.S. attorney who gets a warrant from a local judge supported by an affidavit from your FBI agent working the original case. That's pretty standard. Here, the local U.S. attorney was entirely cut out. The FBI special agent in charge, the SAC they call it, of the Atlanta field office was reportedly forced out days before the search after he refused to participate. This leaves a rotten smell. No local AUSA, ousting of the FBI SAC, not a great look in a case that is already highly questionable. All of these are concerns that a defendant would predictably want to investigate to make a case for vindictive, bad faith, or selective prosecution. To veer from normal investigative standards opens up unnecessary risks to the prosecution. So why not follow normal procedures, particularly in a matter that obviously already smells of politics? The Missouri U.S. attorney who obtained the warrant has damaging personal history, suggestive of bias, a public record of extreme election denial, and a likely relationship with the unconfirmable Ed Martin at DOJ from Missouri Republican political days. All of that is useful to a defendant to impeach the prosecution. Why open up those avenues to a defendant? DNI, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and a top FBI official attended that Georgia search. No DNI has ever done that, and senior FBI officials almost never do. I've never heard of it. So why raise all those questions for a defendant to explore in an eventual prosecution? Why not just follow a normal procedure? Anyone present at a search is a witness to the conduct of the search, which is why both as U.S. Attorney and State Attorney General, I didn't attend searches. Because she was there, DNI Gabbard's photos and who she called and why she was there and what she was told could all be discoverable. Why create that vulnerability? There have also long been serious concerns, interestingly, particularly on the right, about the intelligence apparatus of government being turned internally against American citizens. The DNI being present at a domestic search warrant executed against Americans is a huge red flag. Why raise that flag for a defendant to wave? Behind the scenes, there is a Trump weaponization working group, they call it, operating across agencies, within government, outside the regular chain of command. Gabbard claims to have stood it up. Ed Martin ran its DOJ element until shortly before this Fulton County search. This secretive network within the government has now exposed itself to discovery by a defendant in the case. Why do that? And then, of course, Trump called in to the agents executing the warrant. That is also likely discoverable by a defendant. seeking to show vindictive or selective prosecution or discredit the government generally for bad faith and broken rules. It is a gross violation of prosecution rules and investigative procedure, and it has never happened before. Why open up that avenue of challenge to a defendant? Why would you want to create all those problems for a defendant to raise and send so many signals to courts and the public that this was not being done by the book? It's either very amateurish or it signals that they don't mind those risks. Why would they not mind those risks? Well, what this points to is a search that was never intended to lead to a prosecution with a defendant who could probe into the multiple bizarre vulnerabilities that the government has created. What it points to instead is the seizure of election documents intended for use by Trump's election monkey wrenchers to corrupt an election.